Hey, what's going on YouTube? So I'm really excited about this one because I finally got my 300 Blackout to reliably cycle subsonic ammunition. Coming up. Alright, so first things first. The rifle is clear. So to catch everybody up to speed, I'm just going to go ahead and insert the two YouTube shorts that I did on this when I was trying to get my 9-inch 300 Blackout to reliably cycle subsonic ammo. I need help. My 300 Blackout won't cycle subsonic ammunition, even with the suppressor on it. Here's my setup. Adams Arms piston system, specifically for 300 Blackout, low mass bolt carrier, adjustable gas block. Enlarge the gas port from 0.094 or 5 all the way up to 0.154. For buffers, I tried it with the Armaspec Stealth Recoil Spring, the Sound Mitigation Buffer, and the JP Silent Capture Spring with the lowest power spring, all in carbine weights. In the last test with the JP, gas port opened all the way up. It would eject this one but not cycle the next one or lock back. It would expose about half the case on this one. Leave a comment below if you have any guidance. I would really rather stay with the piston system, maybe the Superlative Arms piston system. I don't like DI, but maybe I have to go that way. So here's where we're at on the attempt to get my 300 Blackout SBR build to cycle both subsonic and supersonic. I changed the system over to a direct impingement system, adjustable gas block with the bootleg adjustable bolt carrier. Still not a fan of it, but it did cycle subsonic, a little lethargic. I could go with a lighter buffer, but again, I'm just not a fan of direct impingement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a SIG MCX Virtus 9-inch 300 Blackout upper, and then just figure out what to do with this. But they are not cheap, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to help us out so that we can afford to get something like that. Okay, so you can see that we started with the Adams Arms piston kit. That I couldn't even get it to eject. I don't know why some people suggested on an M16 bolt carrier group, especially when you have to have a special bolt carrier with the Adams Arms piston system. Also, more weight is going to make it worse because it wouldn't even eject the round. More weight would help loading the next round, but more weight would work the opposite when you're trying to get them out. I did go with DI. I went with an adjustable gas block and a bootleg bolt carrier. I could get it to cycle subsonic, but you would definitely feel it was lethargic, and I didn't think it was going to last very long before it got dirty and then wouldn't cycle them anymore. I also do not like direct impingement. I hate direct impingement. Everybody's got their own opinion, and I'm entitled to mine. I am a piston guy. I like piston guns. Whether it's short stroke or long stroke, I prefer piston. I hate DI. I cannot stand putting dirty gas back into the bolt carrier. They are a bitch to clean, and I can't stand them. So that's why I started out with trying to do the Adams Arms piston kit. Well, through all of that, I finally bit the bullet. I sold a bunch of stuff, I saved up, and I was able to get a different upper, and we had success, and we were able to get it to reliably cycle subsonic ammunition. So now I'm gonna take you down, and we are just gonna go through it, and I'm gonna show you my build. All right, before we go through the build, let me show you the ammo that I was using. I was using Hornady Black, and it is 208 grain with the VMAX bullet in it. That was one of the loads. This one seems to be a little bit softer. This one was sooner to eject before this one. So this guy is 190 grain. I believe it is solid copper, and this one is designed to tumble instead of expand like a hollow point. So these were the two types of subsonic ammunition I was using. And I will go ahead and insert a video clip of running the ammunition. I went to an indoor range just to test this out. It was just really quick to do it. I think I was in there for less than 5 minutes, but it was enough to test this out. And here's that clip. So right off the bat, it went through 3 rounds. It ejected them just fine, but then would not pick up the 4th round. So all I had to do was turn up the gas, and it cycled just fine. And then there was only one issue that I noticed after that. I don't know if I'll be able to pick it up on camera, but let's see if I can kind of like mimic what it did. Okay, so there we go. So that's the only other thing that I noticed. On the last round, it locked it back like this. If I inserted a new magazine and release the bolt, obviously it wouldn't pick up another round, because the way it is supposed to lock back is like that. Hopefully you can see that. But again, this was only a few rounds that I'd run through it. I'm sure this is not broken in yet, and I'm sure that that will definitely be going away within a few rounds. I mean, especially if I put some Supersonic in it, it won't have any issues. So let's talk about the build. I have a Magpul MS1 sling on here. We're gonna get that out of the way so that we don't get tangled up in it. But I have it attached back here on the right side of the stock, and then attached up here at the end of the forend. I like these UTG QD connectors. So I had a bunch of the Magpul QDM sling swivels, and they were actually a pain to use. I did not like them. I actually like these UTG ones a lot. UTG isn't always the fanciest brand, might argue maybe not the highest quality, but I really like these QD sling swivels. These can be bought on Amazon, so I think it's safe to link these in the description below. YouTube is always changing their mind, so who knows. All right, let's get this sling out of the way. That way we can go Grand Thumb style. Okay, so on the end here, we have a YHM Resonator K. This is their 30 cal K can, so it's a little bit shorter. I also got their Kerrs mounting adapter, which is a little bit shorter. This is the titanium one, so it's lighter. This is a pretty great can. I think it was less than $400. I don't remember exactly, but it might have been like $350, and then the tax stamp was another $200. So it's a really great buy at a really great price. The muzzle device is a YHM. It's just their flash hider. I wanted something that was small and compact and maybe a little lighter than maybe the 3-port muzzle brake. That'll go on one of my bigger 308s, and then I can use that on there. Moving on back, we have a Streamlight Rail Mount 1. I really like these lights. They're small, they're compact. They come with a pressure pad that also has a button, so I really like these. We got Magpul AFG. I do have the BCM rail covers on here at the moment. Whether they're going to stay on there or not, or stay like this, I'm not entirely sure. They're just kind of put on there for now until I figure out what I'm going to do. Over on this side, we have the QD mount. This is from Strike Industries. This is their Link angled QD mount. So it kind of angles it forward and outward right here instead of going straight in from the side. This is absolutely fantastic for smaller handguards. When you don't have as much real estate, these are absolutely fantastic. They will take up an entire M-LOK slot. So they'll take up a full M-LOK slot, but they angle it forward, and I can't stress to you enough of how awesome that is for smaller handguards when you don't have a lot of real estate. This is awesome. So real quick, before we move on to the handguard, let's talk about the upper. The reason why we were able to get this to cycle subsonic ammunition, the upper. We replaced the upper receiver. This is the 9-inch Sig Sauer Virtus. If you are familiar with them at all, you know that they are not inexpensive, but I can tell you they're worth it. I have no more headache. I have no more question whether my ammo is going to cycle in it or not. It's got 2 gas settings. Like I said, it didn't pick up that 4th round. All I had to do is turn it to the 2nd gas setting, the more gas setting, and it cycled just fine. So I did change out the handguard. This is the Midwest Industries handguard for the 9-inch upper. This is the handguard that came on the Virtus. Now, it's not that I hated the shape of it or the size of it. What I didn't like about it were these right here. So right in here, these are pretty sharp. So with the handguard on there, or the angled foregrip, and if I were to have my hand in the traditional position like I like to have it, I like to wrap it around like this. Doing it with this handguard, this is really sharp right in here on my hand. And yeah, it probably wouldn't cause an issue if you were wearing gloves. I don't always wear gloves when I'm shooting. I don't want to wear gloves every time I go shooting. So this being sharp is why I went with the Midwest handguard instead of this one. You can see that this has M-LOK slots on the side. It is a little bit more low profile. It's about 1 ounce lighter than this. And I believe where that weight savings is coming in is right here. These are steel inserts for QD mounts. And if I had to guess, I'm guessing that's where the weight savings is coming from. And it was added back on right here. So weight is going to be about the same. I think it looks funny with the double M-LOK, but that's just an aesthetics thing. So like earlier when I had 2 rows of these, I think it looks a little funny, but again, that's looks. Functionality is more important to me than looks. All right, moving on back, but we'll stay on the top end of it. I swapped out the dust cover because I had this, and I'm going for a 2-tone look, the black and FDE. Up top here, we have the 3X Prism from Primary Arms. I absolutely love these. I did a short on them. This is my favorite sight, hands down, the 3X Prism from Primary Arms. I really love the Raptor reticle. This is specifically for the 7.62x39 and 300 Blackout cartridge, and I love it. On the back side here, this is the Minimalist Mini, I believe, from Sig Sauer. I don't know how I was able to get this because one of my biggest complaints about Sig is they never have stocks available. They're out of stock everywhere. Stocks are out of stock everywhere. I do have the larger one on order from Optics Planet. I don't know when I ordered it, but it was several months ago and it still hasn't come, and who knows when it actually will. So that's one of the reasons why I am in love with this Virtus Upper, is now I can have the folding stock. which is the current trend going on with rifles, is to have a folding stock, but I really like having it. So the lower receiver is from Silencer Co. I did buy it from Tombstone Tactical, so I didn't have to pay a transfer, but what I really like about the Silencer Co. lower receiver is it came with an ambi bolt catch release, so I didn't have to mill the handguard in order to put a PDQ in it. Aero Precision makes PDQ. I think Teal Blue Bravo was the original company to make the PDQ, but now Aero Precision is making them. And if you have a lower receiver that doesn't have one, you can just continue that notch through and install one. I do that on just about all of my ARs. They pretty much all have a PDQ in them. So that's what was nice about this lower. It came with one. It was not FDE. I did Cerakote that. The takedown and pivot pins are Yankee Hill. I like these extended ones. They don't get in the way, but they're easy to use. The safety is Armaspec. It is the 45 degree. If you can't tell, I like ambi. Pretty much everything ambi that I can have, I do have. So Armaspec, ambidextrous 45 degree safety selector. I have KNS anti-rotation pins in here. The trigger is the 2-stage trigger, the Match Duo, I think it's called, that comes with the upper. The upper comes with it, so that's what I have in here because that's required in order to have this reliably run. Some triggers might work, they might not. I just go with this one. This one's actually a pretty nice trigger. This is just a standard magazine release button with a Lancer mag. This is for the 300 Blackout cartridge. You can see that it says 300 on there, hopefully. It's really cool because it came with an FDE floor plate. And I really like the smoke. These are pretty much the mags that I'm going to be buying from now on are going to be smoke and clear Lancer mags. We'll flip it over to the other side so you can see the other half of my magazine release. I think originally these were called Norgons. They used to be like $90, and now other companies are making them. They're exactly the same, but it is an ambi magazine release. And you can see how that works here. It doesn't have any big tabs hanging off from it. It's really low profile, really easy to use, and I found that they are really reliable. You can see the other side of the ambi bolt release and the other side of the safety selector. And I Cerakoted the tips of the takedown and pivot pins. So I Cerakoted the takedown pivot pins, the bolt catch and release, the magazine catch button, and then I have a Magpul K2 grip on here. I really like the SL grip, but I like to have a copy of my tack stamps on the firearm. And with the SL grips and a grip plug, it just wasn't working out so well. So I went back to the K2 grip, and now I have those inside there. I like the angle. The Mo feels good, I just don't like the angle. I like the more vertical angle, so that's why the K2. So that is my 300 Blackout build. I was able to get it reliably to cycle Subsonics, and that's because of the Virtus upper. Again, not inexpensive, but I do think it's worth spending the money to not have that headache anymore. It came with the upper receiver. It came with this block back here, which is like a Picatinny. Adds Picatinny back here so that you can add the folding stock to it. It did come with a buffer tube adapter. I tried it on here. I didn't really care for it because I couldn't get the stock to fold flat against the receiver. It still stuck out a little bit, and with a normal stock, it was just too bulky. I had this one on another firearm. I didn't know if it was gonna stay on there or not, so I moved it over here, and I like it on here. That buffer tube adapter is actually on the other one. I swapped them. It also came with the dual stage trigger. I believe it came with a QD mount that you can mount on top of the rail. Obviously, I'm not using it. Now there's QD mounts all over the place on this thing. You have it on both sides of the stock. You have it on both sides of the receiver. You have it down here on the Picatinny adapter. As far as out there, I would have had it on this handguard on both sides, but I had to add it because this handguard doesn't have it. But I am very happy with how this turned out. So I do appreciate you following me on this journey of getting my 300 Blackout to reliably cycle. And I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you on the next project. See ya.